Greetings. Once again, here we are at the Libertarian Perspective. I'm Philip Labe. Sure you're familiar with me. Unfortunately, our host Doug Klippel couldn't be with us, but I have a very special guest. If you've been watching our show, you may recognize him, or if you've checked us out on YouTube, we have Al Valchek here today. Al, how you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing today, Phil?
Good, good. Al, he's really great with the budgets. He's been paying very much attention to the city budget, starting it for us. So today, most of our show, we're going to be talking with Al about what's going on with the budget. And Al, I'll just turn it over to you. What do you have to say? Are they doing a great job at City Hall?
Oh, yeah, they are. Since they got Obamacare passed, I guess they wanted to catch them and see how much more we can spend and how much more we can tax.
They're competing with the federal government on raising taxes.
The feds will probably win, but it's not a good race to be in. One of the first things that I had put together was how they voted. It's sort of a breakdown of how our city council representatives voted on and there it is in front of you. I don't know if you could see that clearly, but the good guys are in green and the bad guys are in red. And what you basically had was, first you had a vote on the millage rate. And that got very confused because Denise Lee switched her vote.
You switched your vote several times.
Yeah, I think you were present, so you know what was going on, and it was kind of a confusing situation, but it ended up getting passed by a vote of 10 to 8. Okay, with one person, one position in the city council being vacant. Then the second thing that happened was they passed the budget, and that's the names and numbers you see there in the larger print at the top, okay? And that expresses what the various persons' positions were. It was close, and there were some very good suggestions offered, such by Councilman Bishop, to slash it across the board, 5%. There wouldn't have been a tax raise in the millage rate. You know, we would perhaps not need all these fees that we have, but that was not the consequence of what happened that day, or that day, night, and following day.
I'm particularly disappointed that Councilman Yarborough, he came up with 14 separate ideas, and also even Juice came up with getting rid of the equestrian center, and the fact that the city council couldn't even agree to get rid of things like that to at least lessen our tax burden, I mean, it's troubling to me. I don't think those are that important when it comes down to people's everyday lives.
Right, and you know, you had the finance committee or a special group of the finance committee allegedly making all these cuts. Well, they really didn't make much of a cuts in terms of the overall budget. And perhaps a more frightening perspective on all this is, I've given you some sheets of paper here, Bill, and unfortunately for your viewers at home, they probably not. It's the fine print in the city budget, which run over 400 pages, and that's not the entire budget. That's a summary budget, okay? If you had to start going line item by line item, I don't know how many thousands of pages it would be.
Yeah, and this is something that you could go, your viewers, if you're interested in this, you could either A, go down to City Hall, you get a copy of the current year's budget, or you can actually go online, this coj.net, print this out. Isn't that what you did?
Exactly. Type in 2011 budget, 2010 budget, and you'll get variations thereof. And then you can go back. And what I've given you here first, Phil, is the 2004-2005 annual budget fact sheet, okay? And there's a couple of interesting things to note on there. First of all, it does include fiscal years 2002-3, then also 2003-4, 2004-5. If you look at the population that they're working with, they said we had a population at that time of 825,793 people, okay? And then if you look down about 3 lines after fiscal year, Phil, you'll see a figure for total city budget includes miscellaneous federal programs. Now, why don't you tell the viewers what that number was back in 2002, 2003?
It was 1,214,000, yeah, 214,406,000 and change.
Yeah. All right, then if you leap forward 2 years to fiscal year 2004, 2005, what do we have?
It's about $250 million more.
Yep, absolutely. Then if you could, take a look at that next sheet I handed you, Phil, earlier on, which gives us the same kind of breakdown for 2004, 2005, through 2006, 2007. And just to speed this up, what was the total city budget then that we see for the fiscal year 2006 to 2007?
$1,737,000,000, so it's about a $500 million more.
Yeah, and we've only gone...
In about 5 years?
And ladies and gentlemen, I mean, it's doesn't get any better as we go to the current day, which is pretty much on the next sheet, Phil, that I gave you. And again, this is taken right from the city of Jacksonville. I can't represent whether these figures are correct or not. All I can tell you is this is what came off the computer that they put on their website. And if we take a look there at the total city budget for fiscal year 2009, what number do we have?
Over $2 billion.
So, and then finally, if we take a look at the next sheet for 2009, 2010,
there we go.
we've got, if I'll just say it, $2,053,619,136, and according to also that same website on the very next sheet, it's almost $2,100,000,000. So we're talking about an 8-year period. We've had an increase in the budget of this city of approximately, not approximately, more than $800 million. Now, the population listed on the last go-around here was 900,000. That's for the fiscal year 2009, 2010. So we've had like a 8 or 10% increase in population, and yet our budget has gone up 50%, 60%. Where is the money going? And I'm not prepared today, and I don't know too many people outside of city government, and even there, that can tell you how all these funds are accounted for, how you have these capital operating costs. Again, you've got two separate items. You've got your expenditures, your day-to-day, then you've got your capital expenses, such as the city's well-thought-out new courthouse, which will soon be an old courthouse. But, there's just a continual disregard for the whole concept of maybe we need to cut back. People are unemployed. People are losing their jobs. People are having problems finding work. People are getting reductions in salary, and yet it's like pulling teeth to get a 2% reduction. Some of that needs to be handled through what's called the Public Employers Relations Commission, and I'm not here to argue one side of unionization or the other, or certainly to knock public safety or fire people, but you've got approximately 5,000 additional employees that don't have anything to do really with public safety. And what are all these people doing? Well, I'll tell you what they're doing. They're getting ready to spend a great portion of $2 billion of your money, whether or not it comes from your federal taxes, your sales tax, your state taxes, property taxes, what have you. So it's a very difficult issue, but you don't get at it by seeing what we saw, which was arguing about minutia. I mean, yes, the equestrian center, that cost, we can save a little there, save that there. They needed to get $50 to $60 billion, $1 million.
And they couldn't even get rid of the equestrian center. That's how sad it is.
And which I guess some